What's shaking, everyone? My name is Thomas, and thank you so much for tuning into the Evisceradio YouTube channel, where I take bands that I listen to and appreciate on my radio show, sit them down in front of me one-on-one, and talk about all the good things in life, whether it's dope-ass metal, dope-ass life, anything in between, just so long as it's dope. And today, I've got a wicked one lined up for you guys. I got a sick one lined up. I've got Gutslit, all the way from India, sitting down with me today. Gutslit play a brand of smart, slick, but not greasy, brutal death metal that has withstood the test of time and made it past COVID. They've got 2 albums in. They've got Skewered in the Sewer and Amphitheater. Wicked ass, brutal death metal that you should be checking out right fucking now. Gutslit is a brand new discovery for me, and they're from an area where I didn't even think there was much of a metal scene at all. So this interview is something that I've been looking forward to and anticipating for a while, and I'm happy that today is the day. Sit down, kick back, and enjoy what I think is going to be a very cool conversation indeed. Yeah.
Is it better?
Oh, it's much better. Yeah, awesome.
Hi. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. I'm having a wicked weekend so far.
I am, first of all, I'm so sorry I had to make you wait because there was a confusion of getting the sound check and then getting back to the stage again.
Yeah.
So one of my very good friends, he's organizing the show, does this, and we're in his hometown. So he's hosting us also. So there's a lot of running around here and there. But it's a good, day to just do this. And then maybe later down the line, we can send you some more videos from the show, or even you help you record if you want to do that. So we can do that too.
That would be pretty sweet. I'll take the video clips that you can take on your phones or whatever. I won't be available later on to record the show live. And as for being, I'm sorry, what was that?
I'm saying that I've kept you up for quite some time for this.
No, man. Don't worry about that. I'm an early riser. I've been going since 3 a.m. I'm one of those people. And as for sound check and stuff, I used to work in concerts years and years ago. I've seen all the things that can happen, like bands not showing up, musicians not being able to play because they're too inebriated, soundboards catching fire. I wouldn't worry about being late for an interview with me, man. Don't worry about that at all. Honestly, it's all good.
Luckily for us, we are quite prompt about everything. So we are always sober on stage, and we have our head in space, and we have our equipment in check. So it's mainly just the setup time, and then just getting just around sound and then getting off. So that's basically how it is here.
That's the way to keep it, man.
I'm on yours. Shoot me some questions.
You got it. So quick backstory. I came across you guys by accident. I was looking for music to go to listen to in the gym, and so I downloaded a couple of your tracks. It was Blood Eagle and Death Hammer, and I went to the gym. I got through a couple of those songs. I stopped my workout immediately and bought both your albums off the thing, and then waited for them to show up. I waited for them to show up in the mail. And so I could give them a critical listening ear. Like I said earlier, I wake up early in the morning and I go for walks around the city and I listen to music then. And I introduce different areas of my life to basically your music, those CDs. And one thing that I came to realize is that the attention to detail that your guys' music has demands that kind of, it speaks to me in a way that the musicians who were involved had to have had music involved in their lives for a long time. And I was just wondering, how early did music kind of get into your life? Did you start off as a metalhead, or was it something else? Were you forced to take instruments like I was, and then it kind of clicked after that? How did it all kind of start for you guys?
So for us, individually, it's a different story for everybody. So for me, as far as my story is concerned, it started off in school, and it started off more of a hobby kind of a thing to pick up an instrument and learn the guitar. And my guitar tutor was lucky for me, he was someone who was into Western music more than what Indian music is. Yep. So he introduced me a lot of Joe Satriani and Steve Vai, because he is a big Joe Satriani fan. So nice. Neoclassical, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, Malmsteen, all those, Nuno Bettencourt, and all those artists, came immediately, in the first class itself. Here, take this cassette, go home and listen to it. That's your homework. So that was like, so that was like, like one of the best homeworks that I could ever do. And then I fell in love, like, there was no looking back. And then as you meet people, like in the class itself, like I would meet people and I would like, hang with them. So then they would introduce, okay, you want to try this band out. And I'm talking about the days when Winamp was there. I'm talking about the days when Napster was there. So you had to actually put in the effort to find a band. Like, there was MySpace, which came in later. So like, you have to actually put in the effort to find a relative band and then understand, because there was no Spotify, there was no Google Music or Apple Music. Like you can just get a playlist. So you had to make your own playlist. You had to burn your own CDs. And I'm talking before, like, the whole era when you had MP3s. So you had like 7 or 8 tracks per CD. So it used to be like, sharing those moments. Then obviously, like, then a lot of new age metal came. There's a lot of like, old school death metal that came my way. One thing led to another. And then there was this one phenomenal band, Death, if you're aware of, Chuck Schuldiner. So Death basically, like, was one of the bands that I got hooked onto. And the first guitarist in the band in Gutslit, like, he was a big Death fan. So our first jam was one of the Death songs. We covered Cannibal Corpse, we covered Death. And then we decided to, like, take the band ahead. So it's been 15 years. Like, this is the 15th year running for the band. And
you guys have been going
since
for a
then,
while.
there have been a lot of lineup changes and a lot of things here. Yeah, and I'm like the only guy who's been there since then, and I'm like at it.
The long-standing member, yeah, go for it, man. yeah.
The turban comes with the responsibility.
Hey, man, I hear you on the responsibilities bit. I try and keep I'm a long-standing metal fan myself. Like similar to you, I started out like playing guitar at a very young age. Malmsteen, Steve Vai, Satriani were all in my early teens. And then kind of from there, things got a little bit heavier. I was a Megadeth fan before then, but the whole death metal thing kind of came about.
Yeah. One of my first jams was also in Megadeth. Like I've jammed with some other people also. So yeah, Megadeth, like obviously, like that was there. So yeah. So then what happened after that with you? After Megadeth, where did you end up?
After Megadeth, there was the whole Malmsteen Vai thing that worked in there too, because I was a guitarist. And then when Napster kind of came along, I started getting like a little bit heavier. Pantera was working in there, but I was going down like a bit of a black metal kind of phase. I was listening to a lot of Dimmu and oh man, I mean, I wouldn't really call them black metal now, but like Old Man's Child and like that kind of avenue. And I would give some space for bands like Cannibal Corpse, but they were just way too heavy for me. I just, for some reason, I just couldn't discern what was going on. But good things come to those who wait. I had the fortunate, I fast forward a few years. I went to school for recording for audio engineering, and I met a group of teenagers who played some ridiculous death metal, and it was through them that Cannibal Corpse and Decapitated were introduced to me, and then it was off to the races after that. And then I haven't looked back. Like I'm a thrash guy, but I like my black metal, but I like my death metal, man. And to the point where, like, I sort of started to show up, and my whole tastes in music and everything has brought me to like a radio sort of platform. And now, like, I've got cameras in front of me, and I'm trying to interview bands such as yourself and people who are behind the music to like show the appreciation. That's why all this shit exists. And so that's sort of where I'm at right now. And I'm having a great time doing it too. Yeah.
Amazing. That's really some good story.
Well, I mean, from someone who, is in a band and wanting to portray what their instruments are and how they feel and who they are into a project, like, I might have a microphone talking into like a radio DJ thing, but like you're on stage talking to an audience. I think the passion projects sort of, come into play a little bit similarly. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
So passion, being pushed ahead to do something more.
Well, we only have one chance to get it right, I suppose. You know what I mean? So you kind of have to go with what feels good. You know what I mean? And just sort of roll with that. And a way that I'm able to figure out if I'm on the right path or not is when you come across like-minded individuals. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure you can relate with like your bandmates and stuff, and for how long you guys have been going. Like,
yeah. So then, like, once you start working with people, like, of the same mindset, then it gets a little easier. And then it becomes like, more of transcending into another thing, like, one after the other. like especially when it comes to writing songs or like writing like everything around it, not just the guitar riffs or the drum parts, but envisioning like the theme of the song, the lyrics of the song, the artwork around it, the whole video aspect around it, like how you perceive it. So it matters a lot, like for especially for us in Gutslit, like we have always like been attracted or spoken about like say serial killers or torturing devices, and people like who've been out there and who've been like and like who've been like meticulous like in like being very spot on with how they want to execute what they had in their head, and being like tormented and pushed to a point where they do what they do. So it's been quite amazing, like to have similar mind, like people with a similar mindset and like work on that. So it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you kind of proved that point right there with amphitheater. Like that had to have been like a very good cemetery-based circle of people working to get a goal down. Like that is a very.
So there also, like the whole idea behind it was the same. Like we got the king who basically got subjected to the different torturing devices that he introduced, like on people. And when he was subjected to the same, and he was sitting on the chair, the Brodequin, like he had the whole, like all the people around him were seen wearing paper crowns. So like now they have the power. So it's like the power is in the hands of the people, and then the king who subjected them to torture is being tortured himself. So it's like how it comes back in circles. Like it's how destiny, like just like whatever you do, it comes back to you.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, what you put out is what you get back. Yeah. Very smart way to go about making a project like that. It sounds great. It's one of my favorite gym albums, man. And on top of that, it's a great thing to listen to at like 4 a.m. walking around. Like you can kind of put it on anywhere. Like it's kind of hard to find that kind of thing when I'm listening to. I'm facing a bunch of records right now. I'm a record collector, and each album that I have, like sort of works better for one area, or it's a bit better over here or something like that. And I like to have particulars in my collection that are just work whenever I'm throwing them on, whether I'm driving or I'm walking or I'm working out or in the dark listening to or whatever. And yeah, amphitheater just kicks my ass. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much.
One of the questions I had, and this came up with like the last band I had interviewed too, that on Skewered, I was reading the insert, and you guys had someone else, a third party, like mix the album, whereas on Amphitheater, you guys had done it sort of like DIY. The sound definitely works for the material that's there, and I was wondering, did you guys go the way of wanting to record the music on your own because of convenience, or was it more of like the person who did it for you had the right sound, like mix wise, or how did you come to that conclusion? Bands have different answers for this, and I was just curious as to what yours is.
So basically, the first album, Skewered, when it happened, like it was written by our earlier guitarist, the original guitarist of Gutslit, and he was good at writing, but then he obviously didn't have the knowledge to like mix and master it himself. So we had to get it done like from somebody else, and that's the reason the sound was different. When it came to Amphitheater, it was written by a former guitarist, and he has studied sound, and he's still studying, and he's based in US right now. So he's gone further ahead in studying music and arranging, in fact, rather he's writing music, he's doing orchestra, he's doing a lot of work around the field of music and writing it. So he had a complete idea of how he wanted to mix it and how he wanted it to sound. So he took it on to himself. So it made sense, when you have someone in the band who can do it, then it made complete sense to give it to him, and he did a good job at it. I mean, that's the reason the two albums are poles apart.
Oh yeah. They both have different sonic characters for sure. Being a pseudo audio engineering, or at least I consider myself one, I can appreciate being able to write music and know how to navigate a board. And in your guys' case, it worked out really well.
So who was there for Amphitheater, he's good at this. He studied sound, and he's still doing. So he's doing production work, and he's also a sound engineer himself. So there's a lot of hard work that he put in on his own to be producer, composer, and a mixing engineer for the same. So too many hats he's worn for this album, and he did a good job. So we're happy about it.
Yeah, for sure. Is he working on any other projects that you can mention without?
So the new album that we've written already, he's already composed, produced, and recorded it.
Do you guys got another one coming?
Yeah. So the album is there with an engineer in US itself, but it's there with an engineer in US since the last 1.5 years or so. Because of COVID, there have been a lot of pushbacks and all. And like he's a good friend of of the band, and plus he's a very renowned name. So we just have to wait in the line to get that free slot and get it done. So hopefully by say August, we should have the final master files, and like say by this year end or early next year, we can release it. Considering we'll need 3-4 months to prepare the same. So yeah, I mean, we are good to go. Like the artwork is almost done. The stuff was recorded a year and a half back, so everything is done. It's just locked. We just need to just get it mixed and mastered and just out there for you guys.
Yeah, well, I can't wait. I consider myself a patient person, but when good things are coming, man, I'm looking forward to it. Same artwork as same artist who did Amphitheater?
No, so this time we have changed everything in terms of the sound. The compositions have been written by Pratik along with the drummer and the vocalists are all coming in together. So there have been few new heads we've taken up to do this. As far as mixing and mastering is concerned, we've hired a big name in the industry, and once things are out, you'll come to know who that guy is. Yep. And he's worked with spectacular bands, really big bands. So we're really happy that things are working out with him. As far as artwork is concerned, in Amphitheater we work with Eliran from Germany, Eliran Kantor, and he is also another big name for doing art and visual art and painting especially. But for this album, we've gone back to our drummer Aaron. He is the guy who designs everything in the band. Be it our website to all the merchandise and everything. He's the guy who is the brain behind the visual aspect. So Aaron is already done with the artwork, and we just went through the artwork today itself and it looks mad. So I'm just waiting for him to finalize and just and for me execute and get all the pieces of the puzzle together and just align them and just get the thing out for everybody. So artwork is going to come in, the master files are going to come in, talks with labels is going on. So everything is going to come together. A tour is already lined up in August. So maybe we'll not have the album.
Oh no, I think your connection's dropping.
Is it better now? I mean, where did you lose me?
Right when you were talking about the tour.
So basically we have a tour of Europe in August this year, in August, second half of August, and it extends all the way in September. So we're touring Europe again, and we'll be doing the whole of Europe exactly. We are working on something where we can get our access to the States or maybe Canada or somewhere.
Come over here.
But we want to, but the thing is I'm just waiting for the visa protocol to understand, because it's a little tricky for us Indians to fly to US. The whole performance visa is too expensive, first of all, and to get that and then get a company us and then getting there, it's a little difficult. But yeah, it's not impossible. So we will definitely get our way around it. So once this year is done, because this is the kind of again the first year after COVID. So we are hoping now that COVID is kind of gone, it should come back. The whole momentum should come back, because we were in a very good momentum and steam, and then suddenly 2 years everything got shut for everybody all around the world. So now that things are back, hoping it works out for everybody, not just for us, or even the venues and promoters and festivals. So so that we can get our asses out there.
Yeah. It's going to wind up coming back full steam ahead, whether it's this year or next year or whatever. Things, like you said, it's kind of over with now, and things are starting to get back to whatever the new normal way might be. But one thing is for sure, people, again, having worked in concert world years ago, people want to be entertained, and there's so much different types of entertainment, and you guys got it going on down there with your scene and everything like that. But should you come over this way, and have everything align the way it should, there's going to be people waiting for you in every city you guys go to, and it's kind of just a matter of time. People have the money, have spent their time by themselves, they want to see some good shit. So we'd be looking forward to having you down here. I'll be keeping an eye as to what any kind of touring developments might be concerning the US and Canada.
in fact, I might need your help, like, to get like maybe a agency or a promoter, like, who can hook us up with something. So then maybe off the chat, we can like, discuss that if anything can work out.
Sure. Yeah, I've got a couple of names that I could probably talk to you about if you're interested in
So
having someone hook
we
you
do
up
that.
in this way.
So after this interview, like, maybe after a couple of days, once I'm done with these 2 shows, I'm going to hit you up, like, to get more information and then get something going for sure.
Yeah, please do, man. Yeah, for sure. I'll do whatever I can. I have a question concerning your guys' scene down there. Now, please forgive me for coming off as ignorant, but I didn't really know that India had much of a metal scene at all down there. Like, you guys were an accidental surprise for me. And then having gone through your interviews and like your YouTube presence and stuff like that, I was completely like, corrected. And now I'm being educated. I was wondering, in one of your interviews that I had seen, one of you guys had mentioned that India has, like, depending on where you are, like, there's a scene for like grind and there's a scene for this and a scene for that. Over in Canada, it's not really so much that kind of way. And I was kind of wondering if you were from a specific area that's, say, like more a grind and you are a brutal death metal band, is there room for you guys to breathe? Or is it or is there any kind of cooperation or collaboration that goes on in a specific area? Or did you find, or would a band find that they have to would go elsewhere in order to get their things heard and get off properly?
So in fact, you're asking me this question at a very good time because I can actually prove it to you. So this tour that we are on right now, the India tour, we've divided it over two cities, like on every weekend, because weekdays there are not any attendees or shows that happen. So we divide like certain parts of India over 2 days. So if I'm traveling the northeast, I would do 2 days there and come back. If I'm traveling the north, I would do 2 days. If I'm traveling the south, I would do 2 days. So in my hometown, like Mumbai or Bombay, if you have heard the name. So what we did was we collaborated with a hip hop act, and a hip hop act, not just a hip hop act that would do English. We had a all female fronted hip hop act that did English, and we had like an all male hip hop act that did a local language, and they are all against the government and how a hip hop act would be talking against something or portraying a message out to the people what is good and bad, how hip hop is. So imagine we had a crowd, say at full capacity of the venue, we have a crowd where there's almost 50% metal, 50% hip hop, and the metal people are surprised to see the hip hop acts, and the hip hop act, the hip hop crowd is surprised to see what we are doing. And for so many of them, it was the first time they saw what metal is, and they were blown away. And the way they enjoyed themselves, it was it was a wave of people just jumping how they would party for a hip hop show, but then they are jumping for us. And at the metal show, they are grooving along, how they would for that. And it was beautiful. And today, what's happening today is we are collaborating with a mathcore band and a grindcore band. So again, so you see how it's mixed and matched. Yeah. Then the first leg of the tour was again with a local rock and roll artist, I would say, but it's in a different language altogether, which even we don't understand because it's that language of that state. So I'll help you out with names later once you're done with the interview. So they imagine I'm attending their show. I'm not understanding their language at all, but the crowd is from that area. So then, that state, and they understand that language, and then they are connecting to it. And immediately next, we are playing on stage, and then they are connecting with us. So it's there's so much of cross knitted bond that there is there, that things work out brilliantly well. So India is kind of a country where different cultures they live by side by side. There are different languages, there are different religions, faiths, believers and non-believers, everybody. Yeah. So and so much of harmony and in tandem compared to a lot of other places. I wouldn't say we have the perfect world that we live in. We do have a lot of shit happening here too. I bet. But whatever it is, at least there is a good amount of culture exchange, good amount of language, food exchange. There's a good amount of your knowledge, theory, and belief exchange that happens. So there are a lot of people who are with an open mind and open ear that they want to know what you are into, and they grow up with in the so my kids are in school where people are from different communities and different religions and different faiths and beliefs. And sometimes my kids pick up dialects and words of different languages. So which is like
Cool.
super accepted. Like, it's fun to know, like, and there are many that even I know. So I myself can speak like, 3-4 languages in India. So that's a normal
Nice.
thing. That's how most of us are. So where I am right now, in the city that I am right now, here also, if I'm talking to any one person, he would be able to speak 3 or 4 languages normally. So
Wow.
that's how it works. So it's like primarily English, then like, majorly Hindi. So we don't have a national language. India doesn't have a national language at all.
Oh,
There
no,
are
I didn't
so
know
many-
that.
No, so there are so many languages, basically. There are so many, and there is a good amount of population supporting so many other languages that there is no national language. But it's like English is accepted overall in the government departments because we were ruled by the Britishers.
Mhm.
So most of the education system and the legal work is based in English. Then comes the state language. So we have different states, how maybe you have in Canada or you have in America. So we have states, and every state majorly is divided on the basis of the language or the community. So we have that majority of that community or the language there. So we have that, and then we have that culture. So it's like a mix and match. So
Yeah.
if you're not from that state and you're born somewhere else and you're living there, you can learn that and then get your language also in. So you can imagine in music, it's the same. So if I'm traveling anywhere, I would see traditional instruments also, and I would see like, modern instruments or like a proper guitar or a distortion pedal that we would use being mixed and matched with everything. So it's always like, a beautiful connect of music in India, because the doors open for different ideas. The room is like, vacant. The canvas is clean. You can paint whatever you want. So
Very
that's the
cool
best
way
part
of
of it.
put. That's a very nice way of putting that. Actually, I'm sort of. I haven't had the opportunity yet to notice the same thing where I'm at presently. Like, I'm in Toronto, Canada. I just moved from a maritime province on the eastern shore of Canada, called Nova Scotia, and I wouldn't say culturally diverse. It's like kind of like the fishing area of the country, and like there's just not a lot of cultural melting pot opportunities. There's not a lot of like, people of different ethnicities and stuff like that are kind of down there. Where in Toronto, having moved out here to pursue my career, I'm noticing like a massive melting pot of all kinds of individuals and all kinds of places, and coming from different religions and backgrounds and stories and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that I've been looking forward to doing once my work for a career starts to get a little bit quiet is sort of exploring what you were saying, how those things kind of come to mesh together in a musical sense. Toronto has, there's like three like music venues on every block down here, and there's just enough, like there's just so much places to go and get the different kinds of music, and I want to be able to experience exactly what you're talking about, and seeing like all those things kind of get like, brought together in a nice setting, and seeing all those collaborative efforts, and again, people coming from different areas and with different backgrounds and different stories, and putting it to music. You know what I mean?
Wow, amazing. That's really nice.
Yeah.
That's really good. Like, if you have an access to so much of music, then that's really amazing.
Yeah, there's a
You're
lot.
spoiled for choice, basically.
I'm sorry?
You're spoiled for choice.
I am spoiled for choice. I did not have such choices where I came from. It's a pretty small city of 100,000, which was the capital of the province of Nova Scotia, Halifax. And I'm still kind of being blown away with what Ontario, specifically Toronto, has to offer.
You know how many people live in my city?
Oh man, I don't know if I can count that high.
You should just Google the population of Mumbai.
Population of Mumbai? Yeah, okay.
Google it right.
Yeah, let me check it here.
I'll wait for your reaction. Population of Mumbai, Mumbai.
Mumbai. I'm gonna guess 10 million. Holy shit! I was wrong. It says here 20.
By half. by almost half.
Wow.
You can imagine like people that we have. It's like I've not seen my whole city. Like, I cannot see the how you said you like wake up in the morning and you like, you walk to different parts of the city.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot do that. I mean, it's 25 kilometers, 30 kilometers in just one direction. So it's impossible for me to ever see the whole city myself. It's not possible. It's crazy. Like, the way we are. So in a city, we are like in different pockets. So my pocket would have everything from hotels to hospitals to venues to like, medical, education, malls, residential, everything. So my pocket is self-sufficient.
Mhm.
then there are multiple pockets. So you don't have to like, worry about leaving your zone unless you have some work, like specifically you want to go out.
Yeah.
And traveling is obviously like, quite busy. It's like how they say, like, harmony in chaos. It's how we have, like, there's so much chaos where I am, but then there's harmony in chaos.
How are you able to keep such a like a zen like mindset when you're surrounded by so much like it's just like to me, so I come from like I grew up like country, like in the woods. I had no neighbors. My nearest next door neighbor was kilometers away.
Wow.
Yeah, I come from like the woods, basically the woods. And I grew up in a city where I could drive from one end of the city to the other in 5 minutes. And now now I'm in a city where like it's to me massive, and I at times find myself trying to keep things grounded. You know what I mean?
Google
Because
Maps.
there's just so much to take in. Whereas I'm sure you grew up around something that is 20 million times more than what I'm talking about. And like,
Yeah.
how do you keep like level the way you were? I don't know how you do it.
So basically, it's very simple. Like, there's a very good saying, like, when you come to Mumbai, there's a very good saying that if you don't have work in Mumbai, Mumbai doesn't have any work for you. So basically, you have to have some busy thing going, like, where you are occupied with maybe education or work or life or something. You cannot just come in and say, yeah, I'm in a new city and I'm going to live and do what?
Mhm.
So, like, you have to be like so occupied that you find that harmony, as I said, in chaos. Like, you find your group of people, you find your spots to chill, you find your music and bars to hit, you find your like, education and work to like, have, and every day you're going to be stuck in traffic, which is normal. But then
Yeah.
that's the time when then that's the off time that like, I get. So if I'm stuck in traffic, my driver is driving. I mean, like, it's half the time I know that I'm going to be traveling for 1.5 hours and my driver is going to be driving and I can be on my phone and work. So that's the time when people are like always productive and just working. So we know, like, we are ready for it. So if I know if I have a meeting at say 7 o'clock in the evening, I know I'll have to leave like, by 5 because of 5:30, I'm going to take 1.5 hours, or I'm going to like, take this much time. So we know it. So it's like, once you get into the blend, you work productively in that time. And then, like, you're going to get these many hours to sleep and these many hours to work. And then, so my mornings also started around 5:30 in the morning.
Mhm.
I know I have just like 2 hours in the morning to finish off my workouts and everything, and like, settle my kids. And my wife is like super active herself. So get the kids going to their routine, and then I just rush to work. And then once I'm at work, like, then again, like from 9 to 6 or something, come back and then get back to the normal life. So then it's like always a mix of a lot of things that happen. So
Yeah.
once you're there in the zone, then you're there in the zone. So it's
Yeah. You find your groove and away you go.
yeah. You cannot. I mean, like, there's no turning back. So on the other hand, I also have like, a kind of a recluse, you can say, in the hills, which is again 2.5-3 hours from my hometown.
Yeah.
So there I'm like in the middle of nowhere. So then, like, there I'm like there in the hills, and like it's a small estate we have. So I just like, zone out and I get my zen there. So that kind of keeps me sane also. So whenever I need the time out with the leopards, I'm there. And whenever I want to be back with the human civilization, I'm back in the city.
It's very important and fortunate to be able to have a place where you can kind of escape and give yourself some room to breathe. Same here. Like when I said that I'm from the woods, I still own a piece of those woods, and I just got to hop on a plane, and then I can be there at like tonight if I wanted to, right?
And it feels good. And it feels good to like, own that piece, like, little part of like, the woods that, so in our case, we've grown those woods. So my dad has grown those woods. So it feels nice, like, that you have given back to the nature something that like, was needed. So it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a picture of it on my phone. I'll send it to you via Instagram. It's a nice looking plot. Yeah.
Do that. And I'll share the pictures of like, the woods that we have. So it's not like as dense as a Canadian forest would be, but then yeah, it's different. It has its own vibe.
Yeah, well, hey man,
We do have wild animals. We did introduce like a lot of birds to it. Like when we went there 25 years back, there were no birds, and now like there's a big bird population. So then it's good. Nature's worked its magic. So yeah.
Great. Yeah. Well, my spot's all black bears and moose.
Wow.
Yeah. Like old animals too. Like there's hunting that goes on up there, but like there's a lot of we call it high bush, which I'm from an island, and the farther north you go, the more elevated it gets, and that's sort of where the moose hang out. And there's some old animals out there for sure. I've seen like just monsters, you know what I mean? Nature just doing its thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of maple syrup?
Say again, sorry?
Are you a fan of maple syrup? Like the Canadian.
Am I a fan of maple syrup? All Canadians love maple syrup. I'm offended.
It's like the blood in you, like, has maple syrup in it.
I don't mind a little bit of maple syrup, I won't lie. I'm also a bacon fan, and I wear lots of flannel too.
Excellent. Tell me.
You said you get your morning workouts, and that's another area of Zen that I explore quite often. I'm a pretty heavy like a calisthenics person. I do like push-ups, chin-ups, burpees, and that kind of stuff. And it has served me well, definitely through COVID times. And while I'm either working out at home or at the gym, I do have specific albums that I go to. Most of them are actually, all of them are metal, I'm not gonna lie, which will get me through certain projects and stuff, Amphitheater and Skewered being on that list currently. Do you have anything that you particularly turn to get your ass in gear?
Yeah. So there's a lot of mix of death metal, like, some band, like a band like Misery Index would be, or Decapitated. So Decapitated, like, Nihility and all, like all those albums, like, are the real drug. I'm not a big fan of the new, like, Blood Mantra and the new albums and all.
You're not so much a fan. I loved Carnivals forever, but I haven't really liked anything else after that.
Basically, with Vitek, like, like the whole aspect with Vitek, like, and having him on drums with Decap and having that kind of a Decap, like, and seeing young kids kill it. So that's a different high altogether. And I've played with them, like, we played in Europe with them, and they are a phenomenal band. Yeah. We played at Brutal Assault in Czech Republic with them. I mean, hands down, they're like a very good band, no doubt. Mm-hmm. And they're very, like, professional and very good and very tight. But yeah, so Decap is there. There's Dying Fetus, there's Suffocation, there's a lot of Cannibal Corpse, there's a lot of Misery Index, like, which I love the most. And there's Gorgasm, like, again, a Canadian band. And But then there are a mix of things, like, there are days when you just hit up a new metal band like Limp Bizkit, and, like, you just want to vibe and, like, work out on that. Because I do a lot
sometimes you just want to break stuff, man.
You want to break stuff. So especially during kickboxing, like, if you just see my personal profile also, like, you'll see a lot of Prodigy, you'll see a lot of Limp Bizkit. So the Prodigy and Limp Bizkit, like, are my go-to workout music, like, in a System of a Down, and getting, like, the new metal coming in. So that works a lot. And obviously the whole grunge aspect, like, of getting, like, even Soundgarden and all coming in. So, like, it's a mix of a lot of things. And then obviously being a Punjabi, then, the whole Punjabi root comes in. So that has to be there, like, and it's in my blood. So Punjabi music comes a lot to me.
Sure. Yeah. I also, kind of a guilty pleasure at the same time. I come from like a fiddle playing, square dancing upbringing, right? So, like, that place kind of has a home in my heart too. I don't necessarily work out to that shit, but it is there, and I do enjoy it especially when I wind up going back home. It's one of those things that sort of brings me back. So no, that's super interesting. Cool. Can you so let's talk about quickly about, like, what's going on tonight. You guys got your sound check going on, which I'm sure sounds like monstrous in there.
Yeah, it sounds good. Like, we are a fan of club shows, to be honest. So today and tomorrow, like, we have to back-to-back club shows, and honestly, death metal sounds much better, like, in a tight room. And the walls and the reverb, like, works up, like, the walls absorb the sound really nicely. So today is a good show. It's in a city called Hyderabad, and tomorrow we are playing a city called Bangalore. Mm-hmm. Bangalore also hosts Bangalore Open Air, which is part of the walk-in open air, like, family. So they have a leg in India known as Bangalore Open Air. So we have that happening tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be, like, back-to-back good shows, and then back to Monday, like, back to work. That's how it is. And then next month we have one more show, and then we're going to hit Europe in August. Yeah,
cool. I meant to ask, what do you do for work?
So I am into hospitality and brutality. The brutality part is obviously Gutslit, and hospitality is, so my dad, like, he had a small business setup. So I'm a qualified chef, and I'm also a certified farmer, as I said, like, the goods and all. Mm-hmm. And I'm an investor, basically. So I invest in everything I invest in time, I invest in people, I invest in money. So whatever makes sense and is like, good for me, I invest in that. So be it even like, stock market and equities and mutual funds and all.
Mhm.
So I am like, a lot into that. And I also advise people like, when it comes to investing their money. And apart from that, the band is just a very expensive hobby. I've never been able to make $1 million out of it. But luckily, we are one of those bands in India who can make ends meet. So we can like, get our maths going right, and the European tours and everything, like they pay off. So a lot of people in Europe, they do ask me like, is this a buy-on tour? Do you do buy-on? And I'm like, till now, I've not needed to do a buy-on, because honestly, I've gotten like, good tours to play,
Uh-huh.
and I've like, like gotten all my maths figured out. And I honestly don't have that kind of money, like, to do a buy-on and then be out there slogging my ass out and like, being a nobody. I would rather
Yeah.
climb up the ladder, like, the difficult way, and build fans who come to our shows every year, again and again. So we are like, I wouldn't say old school at this, but I would prefer going the right way. So we get that going. So then the band is an expensive hobby, but now it like, kind of takes care of itself. So like, the whole album, be it the European tour, everything like, is funded by the band, and then it's recovered like, through merch sales and show fees and everything. So by the end of it, we do make money, like, in a decent amount, just to kind of float. But we
Yeah.
cannot like, like come back and take our wives out, like, for shopping with the money. It never saves. So,
Well,
but
I
it's
mean,
cool. I mean, I guess it's.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No. I just like was just saying. I guess it's with a lot of bands out there. So then we're doing much better than a lot of them.
Sure, be that as it may. I mean, like an expensive passion project is still a passion project, and I mean, like when it comes to being in a band, man, it's kind of about the stories, in my opinion. So doing things the old school hard way has, it reaps the best benefits too. Like there's something to be said for doing that kind of grind. You're able to put out your message and what you enjoy in life out there in front of everybody to see, and it resonates with how they see you on stage doing that, or how they hear your stuff in the albums. And like, to me, that's the payload right there, in my opinion. With this Evisceradio stuff, like I didn't know that this was going to be a thing until like a couple of, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And then like this whole camera setup YouTube interview thing was something I've been messing around with for like the last 6 months. And it's just, I don't know really where it's going to go, but like, in comparison to what you're doing with your band and your life and your passions, it's just a way to, portray your enthusiasm for what you actually dig.
And honestly, like, with you, I feel you're investing right now. And if you don't invest, I mean, how are you going to reap the benefits? So what you're doing right now is a very good thing. Like, I saw your setup in one of the pictures in your profile, and it looked beautiful. First of all, I was going to tell you, like, the backdrop, the walls, the plants, they look really beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
And you put in a lot of effort, like, in getting that whole frame right. And like, your head is right in the center, the curtains fall nicely. And I can see some, what is that smoke at the back? It's something at lit or something. No. It's just like the sun. It's beautiful. I mean, so I saw that, and all this is good, like, investment, like, that kind of pays down the line. So baby steps, and you're doing a brilliant job. Like, I mean, if you're putting in so much of professionalism behind it, then definitely it'll take you a long way.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much. It's very nice to hear.
You have an Indian band, like, for your interview, so you can imagine, like, yeah, see.
Nice. well, I really appreciate the compliment. You're right. I do give a shit about what I'm doing here. It could turn into something. It might not. I would love for it to be able to pay for my crappy album purchasing habit. And if I was able to make that happen, then mission accomplished. But as I'm going through all this, like, I'm meeting everyone that I've talked to so far, either on the radio show or here, has been dope. And like you especially, like it takes like what, 5 minutes of just talking, and now it's all natural and cool and shit. And that's sort of another thing too. Like, it's nice and feels casual. It's good. I have a thing for presentability, as you can see behind me and stuff. Like, things are all nice and set up because I want to be able to say that if it were not to turn into anything, at least I've got you know, I can be happy in the way that it went or the way it's kind of transpired. So, you know, in the end, it's about the stories. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So listen, man, on that note, I'm going to let you go. I'm sure you got some pre-show stuff going on or whatever you need to do before the big banger tonight.
Thank you.
Before,
and I'm gonna tell you, before.
Oh yeah, sorry. Before you go, I was taking a look at the like the bands that are lined up this weekend, in an effort to again educate myself as to like the crazy shit that you guys got going on down there. Are
You
there
wanna
any?
talk to them?
Well, I'm sorry.
You wanna talk to any one of them?
Oh, sure, I would love to. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. If you, that's not where I was going with this, but like.
Just a minute, but I'll get them in 1 second.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah. Random.
So I'm gonna introduce you to a guy, like, you know, come in. So I'm gonna introduce you to a guy who has actually played multiple roles. So the album that you love the most, Amphitheater, he's done the vocals. And band that's playing with us today, like, you know, he's like the founding member of the band. So
Okay.
I'll give him, you know, like 5 minutes with you and you can talk to him. 1 second.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks.
Thomas. So Thomas, that's Kaushal.
Thomas.
Hey, man. Nice to meet you.
I caught him by surprise. So, like, you know, just be sweet to him, okay?
Oh, don't worry, man. I'm not going to go anywhere crazy. Don't worry about that. Yeah, nice to meet you. Holy crap. I didn't expect to be sitting in front of you here.
Man, nice to meet you too, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, how's it going tonight? You guys all sounding, he was just saying that you guys sound rocking in there.
Yeah, man. We're all set for tonight's show. So we're playing in Hyderabad tonight. It's going to be Gutslit, Managing Orchid, and XTP a couple of Bangalorean bands and a Bombay band. So yeah, we expect a pretty good turnout tonight. It's kind of raining a bit right now, but yeah, we're going to get to the venue in just a few minutes.
Oh, you guys aren't at the venue now, are you?
No, I mean, we're like pretty close to the venue. Like it's like a 5 minutes away. So.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I was just saying earlier that I've worked concerts many a times, and we were talking about like how good small clubs sound for like extreme music like your guys's and stuff. It keeps it nice and tight and contained and stuff like that. I was going to ask him, but I thought I would run out of time. But since you're here, being on stage with like the monitor setup, like if you've got like a monitor guy who's feeding you like your own sound kind of thing. And if you'll notice that I have like massive headphones going on because I like to hear things very clear in the interview stuff that I'm doing. Do you have a monitor set, like an in-ear monitor set, or well, not an over-ear, but like, do you have anything when you guys are on stage that you can pick out, or do you use the wedges in front of you? Just curious.
I think for me, I don't really prefer to use a IEM, in an in-ear monitor.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess like, at least for me as a vocalist, there's a bit of separation that comes in between the crowd and yourself. So, I mean, I guess, and I think, like for me as a vocalist, I don't really need it, but yeah, I mean, yeah, we do not. I mean, at least in my case, I've never used IEMs on stage, like ever. I mean, I tried once or twice, but yeah, I just stuck to just going in there, without the IEM.
Yeah, for sure. Also, like being unplugged, like kind of keeps a good connectivity with your audience too, I bet, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And if people feel like they might need it, I mean, it's always a great thing. You want the rhythm section to be tight and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really mind. I don't have any opinion about using IEMs or not. But like, yeah, personally, I mean, if you ask me, that's not really something that I use.
Yeah, cool. No, good. Well, thank you for being clear about that anyways. Are you, is Gutslit your main proprietary focus for you personally? Do you have any other side projects going on? Are you involved with anything with the bands that are currently in the lineup for tonight or tomorrow?
Yeah. So I'm playing for a band called Managing Orchid.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And yeah, so it's a Bangalore-based band. We're sort of in the progressive metal sort of territory. And there's another grindcore band from Bangalore as well, XTP. They're kind of like a hardcore, grindcore band, more on the grind side, a pretty heavy band. So yeah, we got like a couple of bands from Bangalore, and when we have Gutslit, so 3 bands on the bill tonight.
Actually busy, man. Holy crap. Yeah, I heard you had mentioned that progressive metal is something that you're into. I had the pleasure of I got to see Symphony X come to where I'm at like about last month, and I grew up on those guys. It was great to finally see like Michael Romeo do his thing, shredding around on the guitar. It was really, really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was dope. I loved it.
Yeah, and gigs are pretty much back here as well. But yeah, I mean, yeah, there seems to be like waves and waves of COVID, and metal always seems the last one to come back. But right now, there are a lot of bands playing and doing shows here as well.
Yeah, good. That's good to hear that it's kind of like taken off in a really, really good way. It was very slow for things to start up in Canada over the last like year or so, because we would get so far and then they would just shut everything down again, and like bands wouldn't really withstand the constant changing of like being able to play and not being able to play, and like people have to like change careers and then do other jobs, and there goes the band, you know what I'm saying? And then like venues wouldn't survive. Like we don't have there's a ton of venues here, but there's like more than a handful of like metal specific ones, and like from what I understand, like a few of them like didn't make it, you know what I mean? So like I'm really happy that for what you guys going on for Zine in India, like it's persevered, it sounds like. I mean, look what's going on this weekend.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's a pretty good scene right now, and we've got like another show coming up on this particular weekend as well. We're playing another show called Metal Massacre in Bangalore. So so it's going to be Gutslit, Cryptos, Godless, Morphia, and a bunch of other Indian metal bands like spread over 2 days. So yeah, it's a pretty metal weekend, I must say.
It's a pretty metal weekend.
Yeah, and with that, I have to sign off. I just came to grab the merchandise. We have to get to the venue in a few minutes, so I'm just gonna give it over to Gurdip over here.
Yeah, you do your thing, man. Hey, your vocals are fucking baller, man. You keep yelling like that.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you for sitting down. Take care, man. Have a great show.
You too.
Yeah, peace.
So Thomas, I think so we'll have to wrap up now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe later from the show of all the bands. Cool.
I'm sorry, can you say that again, please?
I will send you videos later from all the bands. I'll just send you small clips so that you can use them like as and when you like.
Yeah. What I'll do is send them my way. If they're too big for like Instagram, I'll leave you my email, and then you can pile them in that way.
I'll do a Google Drive or something for you.
Yeah, excellent. And in a couple of days when things wind down, hit me up. I'll do whatever I can to help you guys in terms of Gutslit Canada shit.
I'll do that for sure.
All right.
So thank you so much for this. I had a lovely chat with you.
I did too. Yeah, it was great talking to you, man. Have a great show tonight, and I'll talk to you soon.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye. That was a dope conversation. I'm really happy with the way that went, and it looked like he was too. Just goes to show that like you can be halfway across the world with someone who's had an entirely different upbringing than you and have a nice, natural, flowing good time. Fuck yes. And like, hey, they're wanting to come down this way to Canada. Let's see what happens. I'll definitely do what I can to help those guys out. And anything I can do to help the good music get worldwide, I'm there for it. And a third Gutslit album. Happy times indeed. So for all your Gutslit news, be sure to check out their Bandcamps, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, the social medias, and keep your eyes to what's happening in the Gutslit camp, because it sounds like they're going to be up to some very cool shit. And while you're showing Gutslit some love, please show Evisceradio some love too. Please hit up my Facebook, my Instagram, the Twitter. Please give this YouTube Evisceradio channel a like and a subscribe. Hit the notification bell thingy, because I've got lots of very cool announcements coming down the pipe. They've got great interviews lined up. I've got great music lined up. I've got great times lined up. It's going to be great. Thank you so much for tuning in again. My name is Thomas. This is Evisceradio, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Ciao.
Evisceradio.